It feels like remote work went from like a buzzword to the way to work, I don't know, almost overnight.
Yeah.
And if you're thinking of building a remote team for your business, you're in luck
Yeah.
because we're diving deep into the ultimate guide to building a remote team for your online business from blogwidow.com to help you get started.
This guide really emphasizes starting with a solid foundation,
Okay.
which means thinking through your team structure before you even start hiring.
So not just throwing a bunch of talented people together and hoping for the best.
Exactly.
Got it.
You need a blueprint.
Okay.
What roles are absolutely essential for your business to function, let alone grow?
Right.
Is it project managers to keep things on track?
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe a whole squad of content creators to fuel your marketing?
Right.
Think about the listener specifically.
Okay.
What unique needs does their business have?
Okay, so we've got the blueprint for our dream team.
Right.
What about actually finding these people? Are we talking about scouring the internet for digital nomads?
Well, the guide recommends tapping into remote-specific job boards,
Okay.
like We Work Remotely
Yeah.
or Flex Jobs.
Yeah.
Not only will you find people who are already comfortable with this work style,
Okay.
but you also want to look beyond just technical skills.
You mean someone can be a coding wizard but still a terrible fit for a remote team?
Think about it.
Okay.
In a remote setting, you need people who are self-motivated,
Yeah.
organized,
Uh-huh.
and excellent communicators.
Yeah.
Since you're not physically there to manage them every step of the way,
Makes sense.
the hiring process should focus on identifying those qualities just as much as their technical abilities.
So we've assembled our team of remote superstars.
We have.
Now, how do we make sure they're not just off doing their own thing?
Right.
Especially if they're scattered across different time zones.
This is where the guide's emphasis on crystal clear communication comes in.
Got it.
It's like having this constant flow of information, ensuring everyone knows what's happening
Right.
and what's expected of them.
Okay, so what tools are we using to make this communication magic happen?
Well, the guide suggests platforms like Slack
Uh-huh.
or Microsoft Teams
Yeah.
for those quick updates and daily back and forths.
Okay.
But for more formal meetings or big announcements,
Right.
video conferencing tools like Zoom or Google Meet are essential.
Got it.
Think about the listener.
Okay.
Their business, their team size, and their budget
Right.
will all influence what tools they need.
But it's not just about having the tools, right?
Exactly.
It's about how you use them.
The guide stresses the need for designated channels for specific types of communication.
Yeah.
This keeps things organized
Okay.
and helps people find the information they need quickly and efficiently.
Right.
Imagine a team where all project updates, casual conversations, and HR announcements are all happening in one giant chat room.
Oh my gosh. Chaos.
Yeah, total chaos.
Right.
So we've got our structure,
We do.
our rockstar team,
Uh-huh.
and our communication highways all set up.
Yes.
What's next on our remote team checklist?
This is where we shift from the setup phase to the making it work phase.
Okay.
The guide highlights the importance of setting crystal clear expectations and goals
Yeah,
from the get-go.
got it.
This means outlining KPIs, deadlines,
Yeah.
basically anything that eliminates ambiguity.
No more, wait, the deadline was today, moments.
Precisely.
Love it.
And to avoid those scenarios,
Yeah.
the guide also stresses the need for regular check-ins,
Okay.
even if it's just a quick update in the team chat.
Got it.
These check-ins create accountability
Yeah.
and keep everyone moving in the right direction.
This makes total sense.
It does.
Structure and clarity are important whether you're working remotely or in a traditional office.
I agree.
But let's get real.
Okay.
How do you build a strong team spirit when everyone is miles apart?
This is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Building a remote culture takes work,
Yeah.
but it's definitely doable.
Think about those casual moments of connection that happen naturally in an office.
Yeah.
The water cooler chats,
Right.
the quick coffee breaks.
Totally.
How do we translate those to a virtual setting?
Okay, so no more impromptu office birthday parties.
Right.
What are we doing instead?
Right.
Virtual pizza parties.
Huh. Maybe.
Okay.
But the guide recommends thinking about virtual team-building activities,
Sure.
whether it's online games, a book club, or even just a dedicated non-work chat channel
Right.
where people can share their hobbies or weekend adventures.
So it's about reminding everyone that they're part of a team,
Exactly.
even if they aren't physically together.
And it's important to remember that building a remote culture doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
It's an ongoing process.
Got it.
that requires effort and intentionality
Yeah.
from everyone on the team.
Speaking of effort, let's talk about tools.
Yes,
We've covered communication platforms, but what other tools and resources do remote teams need to thrive?
think about it like equipping our remote warriors with the best possible toolkit.
Love it.
The guide really dives into the world of project management software
Okay.
with platforms like Trello,
Yeah.
Asana,
Mm-hmm.
or Monday.com being absolute game changers.
Okay.
They help teams organize tasks, assign responsibilities,
Yeah.
track progress,
Uh-huh.
and collaborate seamlessly,
Okay.
all in one central hub.
I've heard of Trello. It's like a giant virtual whiteboard where you can move tasks around.
Exactly.
Sounds pretty useful for keeping everyone organized.
And we can't forget about time tracking tools like Toggle or Harvest,
Okay.
especially for client-based work where accurate billing is essential.
Right.
These tools help people understand where their time is going
Yeah.
and identify any potential bottlenecks.
Uh-huh.
Plus, some people just find it motivating to visually track their progress.
Makes sense. So we've got project management, communication, time tracking.
Right.
But what about file sharing and collaboration? Are we emailing giant attachments back and forth?
That sounds like a recipe for disaster.
It does.
Luckily, we've got tools like Google Drive, Dropbox, or Notion.
Okay.
These platforms let teams store, share, and work on documents together in real time,
Right.
regardless of location.
Cool.
It's like having a virtual office space
Yeah.
where everyone can access and contribute to shared resources.
Okay, so we've got project management, communication, time tracking, file sharing.
Yes,
It seems like there's a tool for everything these days.
there is.
But let's be honest.
Okay.
One of the biggest draws of remote work is the flexibility.
It is.
Can you really work in your pajamas all day?
That's the dream, right?
It is.
And while remote work does offer a lot of flexibility,
Yeah.
the guide is realistic.
Okay.
It's not a free-for-all.
Right.
You need to balance that freedom with accountability.
So it's not just about working whenever and wherever you want.
Exactly.
Got it.
You still need clear deadlines,
Mm-hmm.
project milestones,
Right.
and regular check-ins
Yeah.
to make sure things are getting done.
Okay.
It's about finding that sweet spot between freedom and responsibility.
This is all great advice, but let's address the elephant in the virtual room,
Okay.
the potential downsides of remote work.
Yeah.
What about feelings of isolation or burnout? Are we doomed to a life of endless Zoom calls and digital fatigue?
That's where prioritizing Zoom calls, even in a remote setting,
Okay.
becomes crucial.
Okay.
The guide dives into strategies for promoting work-life balance,
Yeah.
encouraging breaks,
Mm-hmm.
and even exploring perks like mental health days or wellness programs.
So we're not just throwing a meditation app at the problem and calling it a day.
Definitely not.
Okay.
It's about creating a culture
Right.
that values well-being as much as productivity.
Yeah.
This could mean setting clear expectations around communication availability
Okay.
so people don't feel pressured to be always on.
Got it.
Or it might mean encouraging regular physical activity and promoting healthy eating habits.
So even though we're talking about remote work, we're still talking about real people
Absolutely.
with real needs.
Building a thriving remote team isn't just about efficiency and getting things done.
Right.
It's about creating a work environment that supports the whole person,
Yeah.
both professionally and personally.
This has been an incredible overview of the guide so far.
It has.
I'm feeling much more prepared to tackle the world of remote teams.
That's great.
What's coming up next?
Well, I think it's time to move from theory to practice.
Okay.
In our next segment, I'd love to delve into real-world examples of companies who are absolutely crushing it in the remote world.
Awesome.
We can dissect their strategies and see how they've applied these principles
Yeah.
to build successful and engaged teams.
Sounds fascinating. I'm ready to be inspired.
Great.
Let's take a cue. Actually, you know what? Let's just keep going.
Okay.
I'm too intrigued to wait.
Okay.
Hit me with those inspiring success stories.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, so we've covered the basics, but I'm ready for some real-world inspiration.
Okay.
Give me those shining examples of remote teams that are knocking it out of the park.
All right, let's start with a company that's been fully distributed since day one.
Yep.
Automatic, the powerhouse behind WordPress.
Yeah, I know them.
They have over 2,000 employees spread across 96 countries.
Wow. Talk about a global workforce.
It is.
But with a team that massive and spread out, how do they manage to stay connected and productive?
They've really embraced something called asynchronous communication,
Okay.
which basically means they don't rely on real-time interactions for everything.
So it's not about everyone being online at the same time.
Exactly.
Got it.
They use tools like internal blogs and forums to share updates, discuss ideas, and even make big company decisions.
Interesting.
This lets people contribute on their own schedule,
Right.
regardless of their location or time zone.
That's pretty clever.
It is.
It takes the pressure off constant availability and lets people focus on deep work when they're at their best. But wouldn't that make it hard to build a strong team culture?
Actually, it forces them to be intentional about documentation and transparency,
Okay.
which ends up strengthening their culture.
Interesting.
Everyone has access to the same information,
Right.
and everyone has a voice in the decision-making process.
Okay, so we've got a tech giant setting the standard.
Right.
Any other examples from different industries that are just as impressive?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Let's look at Zapier,
Okay.
a company that helps businesses automate tasks between different web apps.
Yeah.
They've been fully remote since their inception
Uh-huh.
and are known for their strong company culture.
I've heard great things about Zapier. What's their secret?
Well,
Do they have some sort of virtual team-building guru on staff?
one thing they prioritize is hiring for cultural fit.
Okay.
Their hiring process goes beyond technical skills
Right.
to assess whether candidates align with their core values:
Got it.
transparency, generosity, and a bias toward action.
So they're not just looking for people who can do the job,
Right.
but people who will thrive in their unique remote environment.
Exactly.
But how do they actually build a sense of community when everyone is physically separated?
They're really intentional about creating those opportunities for connection.
Okay.
They have regular virtual team building events, online interest groups, and even a mentorship program that connects employees across different departments and levels.
Okay, I love these examples, but let's say I'm building my own remote team and I want to cultivate that same sense of camaraderie.
Right.
What are some specific things I can do that go beyond the usual virtual happy hours?
Remember, it's not a one-time fix.
Okay.
Building a remote culture is about weaving opportunities for connection into the everyday fabric of your team.
Okay, I'm picturing a virtual tapestry
Right.
with threads of shared experiences and inside jokes.
Exactly.
How do we start weaving?
Even simple things can make a difference. Encourage regular virtual coffee breaks where team members can just chat about their weekend plans, share a funny meme, or catch up on life.
Yeah, like those impromptu water cooler conversations you have in an office.
Exactly.
I like that.
No.
It's about creating space for those informal interactions that build relationships.
Exactly.
Another idea is to create a dedicated online space.
Right.
Maybe a Slack channel
Yeah,
or even a shared Pinterest board
that's great.
where people can share their hobbies, interests, or random thoughts.
Uh-huh.
It's like having a virtual common room
Right.
where you might discover that your marketing manager is a master gardener
Mm-hmm.
or your developer has a secret talent for brewing kombucha.
Exactly.
It sounds like it's all about recreating those little moments of human connection
It is.
that happen naturally in an office environment.
You're getting it.
Okay.
It's about finding creative ways to build relationships and foster a sense of belonging even when you're not physically together.
Right.
But you're right.
Yeah.
It does take effort and consistency.
It's like tending a virtual garden.
It is.
You need to nurture those connections and create an environment where they can flourish.
Exactly.
But speaking of challenges,
Okay.
we've talked a lot about the benefits of remote work.
We have.
But what about the potential downsides?
Right.
How do we make sure our remote teams are not only productive, but also happy and healthy?
That's such an important question.
Yeah.
And it brings us to one of the most crucial but often overlooked aspects of remote work:
Okay.
prioritizing well-being.
Okay, we're talking about more than just standing desks and blue light glasses here.
Right.
What does well-being actually mean in a remote context?
It means recognizing that your team members are human beings with needs and vulnerabilities,
Right.
just like anyone else.
Right.
They need connection.
Yeah.
A sense of purpose,
Yeah.
the ability to disconnect and recharge,
Yeah.
and the space to be themselves.
That makes sense. It's easy to get caught up in the always-on culture of remote work,
Right.
especially when your office is just steps away from your living room.
It is.
How do we set healthy boundaries and prevent burnout in a remote setting?
A good starting point is to set clear expectations around communication availability.
Okay.
Make it clear that it's okay to disconnect after work hours and on weekends.
Got it.
Encourage people to set do not disturb modes on their devices and prioritize their personal time.
It sounds like it's about leading by example and creating a culture where it's okay to take breaks and prioritize self-care.
Right?
even when you're working from home.
Exactly.
And beyond that, there are tons of other ways to promote well-being.
There are.
Encourage regular physical activity, even if it's just a short walk during the day.
Right.
Promote healthy eating habits. And most importantly, create a culture of open communication
Yes.
where people feel comfortable talking about their mental health and seeking support when they need it.
That's huge.
I think we've covered a lot of ground here.
Oh, yeah.
We've talked about building a strong foundation, fostering a vibrant culture, and now prioritizing well-being.
Right.
But I feel like there's still so much to explore.
I agree.
Where do we go from here?
Well, in our final segment, I'd love to dive into the nuts and bolts of managing remote teams effectively.
Perfect.
We can talk about setting clear goals, tracking progress,
Yeah.
providing feedback,
Right.
and navigating those unique challenges of leading a team that's scattered across different locations and time zones.
Perfect. Let's take... Oh, wait a minute. I'm sensing a pattern here. I can't handle another one of those. Let's take a break, cliffhangers.
Okay.
My curiosity is getting the better of me. Bring on the management tips.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, I'm officially ready to level up my remote management skills. Let's dive into the nitty-gritty of leading a team that's not physically in the same space.
It can definitely be a challenge, but it's totally achievable with the right strategies. And the guide really emphasizes
Okay.
that it all starts with, you guessed it, communication.
Okay, I knew communication was coming up again, but why is it so vital in a remote setting?
Think about it.
Yeah.
You can't just pop over to someone's desk to clarify a task or gauge their understanding.
Right.
In a remote environment, you have to be extra deliberate about communicating expectations, goals, and feedback.
Got it.
Leave no room for assumptions.
So it's about being super clear and proactive with your communication.
Yes.
Leaving no room for misinterpretation.
Right.
But does that mean we need to be glued to our inboxes and chat apps 24/7?
Not necessarily. It's more about using the right channels effectively.
Okay.
Some people might prefer detailed written instructions,
Yeah.
while others thrive on quick video calls.
Right.
It's about understanding your team's communication preferences and tailoring your approach accordingly.
Makes sense. It's about finding the right balance for your team.
Yeah.
But communication is just the first step, right?
It is.
How do we actually manage performance and make sure everyone is on track to achieve those goals?
That's where setting clear objectives and having systems for tracking progress becomes essential. Just like in a traditional office setting.
Right.
You need to measure performance and make sure everyone is working towards the same goals.
We can't just send people off into the virtual world and hope they figure it out on their own.
Exactly.
We need some structure and accountability.
This is where those project management tools we talked about earlier really shine.
Right.
They help you break down big projects into smaller tasks, assign responsibilities, set deadlines, and visually track progress.
It's like having that shared roadmap.
Yeah.
So everyone knows where they're going and how to get there.
Exactly.
But what about giving feedback?
Yes.
How do you have those tough conversations when you're not face-to-face?
This is where a lot of remote managers get tripped up.
Yeah.
The key is to make feedback more frequent and more specific
Okay.
than you might in a traditional office setting.
So we're not just waiting for those annual performance reviews.
Definitely not. Provide regular feedback, even on small wins or challenges.
Okay.
And when you do give feedback, make it clear, concise, and actionable.
Got it.
Instead of saying, great job,
Right.
explain what specifically you liked.
Okay.
Instead of saying, needs improvement,
Right.
provide concrete suggestions on what to do differently.
This is much more helpful than vague or generalized feedback.
It is.
It gives people clear direction on how to grow and improve.
Exactly.
But isn't feedback a two-way street?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Encourage your team members to give you feedback as well.
Right.
Create a culture where open communication is encouraged and people feel comfortable sharing their perspectives and ideas.
Yeah.
This helps build trust and creates a continuous cycle of learning and improvement.
This has been such an eye-opening deep dive into the world of remote teams.
It has.
I feel like I've gone from feeling overwhelmed to feeling empowered to create a remote work environment that is not only productive, but also fulfilling and engaging for everyone.
That's fantastic to hear. Remember,
Yeah.
building and managing a remote team is a journey, not a destination.
So true.
There will be challenges,
Oh, yeah.
but with the right approach, you can create a team that thrives.
And if anyone out there is ready to start that journey, be sure to check out the ultimate guide to building a remote team for your online business over at blogwidow.com.
Yes.
It's packed with valuable insights and practical tips that will help you every step of the way.
As you start building your remote dream team,
Yes.
here's something to consider.
Okay.
How will you create an environment that not only supports productivity,
Right.
but also fosters genuine connection, well-being, and a shared sense of purpose?
Wow, that's a powerful question.
It is.
It's a reminder that we're not just managing tasks and projects.
Right.
We're leading real people with real lives and aspirations.
Exactly.
Let's build these teams with empathy, intention, and a commitment to creating a work experience that is truly human, even in a virtual world.
Well said. And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive.
Okay.
Happy remote teaming, everyone.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.